Jason Rzucidlo reporting for AmericaJR.com. Let's see. Jason Rzucidlo reporting from the Detroit Marriott at the Renaissance Center for the 2015 Automotive News World Congress. Stay tuned for remarks from Mr. Elon Musk, CEO and co-founder of Tesla Motors.
And so I think I'm hopeful that by coming here and maybe answering some questions, I can explain why I think the opportunity for electric cars is tremendous and why I think that all transport, with the ironic exception of rockets, will go fully electric. And so it's really just a question of when it goes fully electric. And if we can make it go electric sooner, then that will be much better for the world. And we do have a significant danger with fracking technology, which is, I think, really still at an early stage. Because I think fracking probably increases the accessible oil and gas in the world by perhaps a factor of 10. I mean, we don't really know what the full extent of it is, but it's probably something like an order of magnitude, which means the potential harm to the climate is really much greater than it was before. And we can't rely on scarcity to drive the price of oil and gas high and have that be an adequate forcing function to move electric. So we have to figure out how to make electric cars themselves compelling without that economic forcing function of high gas prices. Thank you.
Very good. A couple of Canadian boys talking fast cars and rockets. Could be better. If you were going to launch two businesses, I'm guessing the natural place to start would probably not be rockets and cars.
Yeah. I think for sure, if you were to rank order companies to start and say what is likely to succeed and what has the best risk-adjusted return, pretty sure starting a car company or a rocket company would be at the bottom of the list.
So why cars and why space?
Well, because in the case of cars, it was very important for there to be an example of an electric car that was great. Like, there were no great electric cars. So people thought electric cars were like a golf cart. So they were slow and didn't maneuver well and had low range, or ugly, didn't have much functionality. And that's the picture that people had in their minds. And we had to show people that an electric car could be fast, sexy, handle well, long range, and be a great car. And that's what we did with the Tesla Roadster. So it's really important to sort of just break the mold, to address that misperception that one couldn't make a great electric car, and then to show that if you made an electric car with all those attributes, that lots of people would buy it. Because even after we made the car, a lot of people said, well, yeah, you've made this electric sports car, but nobody's going to buy it. And then so we had to show, yes, there is demand for it, and the same for the Model S. And then with our Model 3 down the road, showing that it's possible to build a compelling, long-range, mass-market electric car. That's, I think that's the third part of the strategy that I outlined with my first blog post about Tesla now almost 10 years ago. So that's...
You had a few people doubting you. I mean, when you go back
Just a few.
Just a few people, right.
Here and there.
If we go back to 2008, you've had a couple of failed rocket launches. You've got a lot of Teslas sitting around in the garage. There are some issues there. In an instant, you receive funding from NASA, a huge contract from NASA for $1.5 billion. And then you also get funding for the car company. But you were at the bottom, correct? I mean, you were...
Yeah, I think this is important to emphasize, because if people look at, say, Tesla and SpaceX now, and they sort of think, well, maybe they were always in a healthy position.
But it wasn't.
No, from the beginning, we were in really dire straits. No one would take us seriously, either the rocket company or the car company. They just thought, well, he's sort of an eccentric rich guy, and he's going to lose all his money. And they told me that several times. I mean, the most common joke I heard was, how do you make a small fortune in the car business or the rocket business? And the punchline is you start with a large one.
Right.
So it's like, I'd heard that joke so many times. I would just hit them with the punchline before they had a chance to say it. yeah, so
and you nearly had a nervous breakdown around. I mean, this
well,
was a personal.
I'm that close to a nervous breakdown. But,
Okay.
but I did think to myself on the Sunday before Christmas in 2008, waking up on the Sunday morning thinking, I never thought I was someone who was capable of having a nervous breakdown, but this is about as close as I've ever come. Because things were really so dire. As you alluded to earlier that year, the first 3 rockets had failed of our Falcon 1 vehicle. And I'd only really allowed for enough money for 3 flights. So we had to desperately try to scrape together enough money for a 4th flight. And then with Tesla, the financing round fell apart in the summer of '08 because the whole financial markets were crashing and GM and Chrysler were going bankrupt and nobody wanted to give us money.
Not an ideal time to start a car company.
Definitely not. I mean, try to raise money for a startup car company that's making electric cars to boot, which is like that sounded like stupidity squared. Investors would be angry that we even asked them, like that we even asked them. They would be angry about that. And in fact, the only way we were able to raise money to keep Tesla going was that most of the existing investors agreed to fund the company, and I put all of the money that I had remaining into Tesla. So it still wasn't. It was amounted to about in total about $40 million, 20 of which came from me, and I was tapped out. Had to borrow money for rent after that, and that tided us over into for about six months to May of 2009 when Daimler invested in Tesla, and that Daimler investment was really fundamental to the survival of Tesla. In fact, a lot of people think like somehow the government bailed us out or anything. That is actually not true. It was the Daimler investment that saved Tesla, not government funding. The first money we got from the government ever was in March of 2010, and that was after the crisis had passed.
And it wasn't your intention to even that this would be profitable. I mean, you thought it was actually going to fail at some point, right?
Well,
or you weren't sure it was going to be that successful.
At the start of Tesla, when it was just me and a few guys, I thought we maybe had a 10% chance of success.
Okay. How do you feel now?
Well, now I think we've got now I think some degree of success is assured, but it's a question of the magnitude. So does Tesla become sort of a niche car maker making maybe 100,000 cars a year or something like that, which is always super tiny? You know, that would be, yeah, I mean, 0.1% of market share. I think that's the definition of a niche. If you're 0.1%, you have to at least get past the decimal point to not be a niche. So that's one possible future.
100,000
yeah,
or your stated goals of 500,000 by 2020.
Yeah, I think we'll probably aim to do more cars than that. I'm not necessarily by 2020 show the 500,000, but I think we'll probably continue past that.
You'll continue past the 500,000.
Yes.
Okay. Within which time? Within what kind of time frame?
Let's say, I don't know. I think we should be able to get to probably at least a few million cars in 10 years, a year.
So by 2030?
Well, by 2025.
Oh, by 2025. Okay.
We can probably get to a few million cars a year. I think we're just going to keep driving our volume as high as we can, because our mission is fundamentally to transition the world to electric cars. So if we don't make a lot of electric cars, then we're not doing as much as we can. Now, I mean, that being said, I think most of the good that Tesla will accomplish is by sort of cutting a path through the jungle to show what can be done with electric cars. Like, so I think.
So you think that the industry as a whole will adopt a greater?
Yes, I think